Hello everyone, this is going to be a series of videos called Problems with Retail Pharmacy or Why I Left Retail Pharmacy. This is when I actually go really in depth into reasons why I left, and I start with one reason and then the next video is another reason. I'm still work in progress, but the first reason or number one reason or, reason number one, not in necessarily order, short staffing. And I know this is a problem everywhere you go, but in pharmacy, like, it's detrimental to a huge extent. I mean, and the level of short staffing was absolutely ridiculous. Only one pharmacist. The pharmacist has to give 70 COVID vaccines. About 70 COVID vaccines. And it's not just vaccines because I'm the only pharmacist there, or I was the only pharmacist there, and I had to do much more stuff. I had to give 70 COVID vaccines. Oh hey, I had to make sure the technicians or the central pharmacy typed in the medications right that the doctor sent over. I had to make sure that the medications are filled appropriately and correctly by the technicians. I had to counsel patients on the new medications. I had to go over with them by law. I had to do that. I had to take phone calls and answer questions from people, and I had to take verbal prescriptions from doctors as well. In addition to that, I had to actually check in control medications like opioid, Adderall, Xanax. I had to check all that in. And I had to do 70 vaccines. That's when you're the only pharmacist, that's very difficult to do because vaccines take time. Guess what? You have to run it out of the pharmacy, get the vaccine, prepare the vaccine, run out of the pharmacy, run into the vaccine room. You had to go over name, date of birth, identifiers. Then you actually had to do the process of giving the vaccine. And when you're giving a vaccine to children, because you can do that with COVID, it's like, do you think children are not the most cooperative? It just takes time. Not just that too, but imagine having to do that, but you also have to do like about 800 prescriptions a day. It's like you have to do 800 prescriptions a day. Like, that's insane. And that's freaking insane. Like, you know what I mean? And you don't have enough staff. Like, I remember if I was lucky, I'd be like, okay, I'm the only pharmacist. I have a technician working the counter. You have a technician working the drive-through. And then if you're lucky, you had a technician filling the medication. That was it. If you were lucky. And it's just like, that's awful because not only are they to throw in a bunch of vaccine, you had to do COVID testing. Guess what happens? And we have to run a test in COVID testing. We're not getting more help, more technicians. No. The technician has to walk out away from their station, go into the room, and do the test. And run it. So now I'm going to be down in tech for about 10 minutes, and it's like, okay, so this tech has to go to the drive-thru, or I had to go to the drive-thru, I had to go to the counter, I had to fill the medications now, but I can't do my normal job. You know what I mean? It's like, it's impossible. It's insane. And there was stuff that just wasn't getting done. It wasn't getting done. Like, I went to stores where there were drug orders that came in that had not been put away. And we're talking orders that had not been put away for 3 days worth of stuff that needed to be put on shelves, that were out of stock, need to be given to patients that weren't sorted through because there was no time. I mean, I walked into a store that had 200 medications that needed to be filled on the counter. Like, the leaflets were there, and I was like, oh my god. Like, it was insane. Insane. And the biggest thing was I started feeling like because the staffing shortage was so bad, I started feeling like I was a detriment to society, to these people. I'm doing them a disservice. Like, and it was just like, I felt like every time I walked in, I was putting my license on the line and that I was endangering people because of how dangerous the staffing numbers were, just how bad they were. Now, this was during COVID times, and let me tell you something, this was happening before COVID was even a thing. The companies were just slashing staffing like crazy just to try to make a buck, and it's detrimental to people. It's like, this is a disservice to the community. This is awful. And the biggest thing was, when you're that short staffed and you're trying to get everything done, mistakes, it opens the doors for mistakes. And again, I'm not taking anything away from McDonald's workers, Kohl's, but if you make a mistake like at Kohl's, someone gets the wrong shirt, not a big deal. Someone orders a cheeseburger and you give them a chicken sandwich, not going to kill them, not a big deal. Pharmacy, completely different. If you give someone the wrong medication, they can die, they can get hospitalized, they can experience harm. That's scary. And the thing about it was corporate didn't care. They didn't care you were short staffed, and he still expected everything to get done. And because of that, a lot of people left because of those conditions. A lot of technicians that have been there over 10 years, 5 years, 10 years left. A lot of pharmacists left over 5 and 10 years. I left, and that was one of the biggest reasons. I mean, the staffing was just unacceptable. And the biggest thing too is they kept adding more services that we had to do that they weren't allowing more technician hours, that they were short staffing. It's like, okay, we're going to have to do this. Now you have to do 70 COVID stuff. No increase in technician or another pharmacist to do those. Okay, no, or like, oh, hey, you have to do this now. Now you have to, how do I put this? You have to do COVID testing. You're not going to give us any more stuff. Oh, hey, now you're going to have to do this thing. You're going to have to add this. And they kept adding more work, but they weren't increasing support. They weren't increasing staffing. Everything was the same. And it was just like, how much sense does that make? And you expect us to do everything? No. It's dangerous, unsafe, and it's unacceptable. Not just that, but it's disrespectful to me, and it's disrespectful to everyone who works in the pharmacy. And I just, for me, that's one of the biggest things in life. I was like, I couldn't do it anymore. I was like, I'm tired, this is the old saying, I'm tired of turning chicken crap into chicken salad. And that's what I felt like I was doing every shift. And it was just like, I'm done putting my license on mine. I can't do this anymore. This is ridiculous, and I'm done. And unfortunately, they're not going to learn their lesson. It's going to continue to be short-staffed. I mean, that's just the reality of retail pharmacy. And the conditions were so bad and were so short-staffed that there were teams, entire pharmacy teams that walked out. There was let's just say, you know what I mean, the 3-letter pharmacy across the street from where I was working, that the entire, half the staff walked out. There were stores within my company where the entire staff walked out. This person walked out, or this pharmacist left and didn't come back. That they just walked out because they were so fed up with how short-staffed they were and how much work they were expected to do that they couldn't deal with it anymore. That they were just like, I'm done. I'd much rather be unemployed and have nothing lined up. And yeah, that's one of the big reasons left. Short staffing. And folks, I just want to say this right now. Be very patient and nice to your pharmacy staff because they're short staffed and it's not their fault. It's corporate's fault. You should be directing your complaints to them. Hell, I would even, if anyone wants to know, DM me. I'll give you the number so you can complain. But yeah, it's scary. And the fact that it still continues is very scary. Short staffing. One of the problems with retail pharmacy, one of the reasons I left.